Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a discussion about Creative Assembly's plans for the future of Total War. Specifically the future of Warhammer 3. They have released an end of the year blog post on what they're working on, talking about 40k, Medieval 3. Apparently Medieval 3 is farther ahead than we might have anticipated. But still, there's a bunch of interesting details on this, and I'll link the blog in the description below so you can check it out and read it. A couple of crucial things on this subject that I would say is that they're working on, or they're going to work on, historical restoration. Our side quest for 2026 is the beginning of a more ambitious one. Our new titles are very much the focus of our attention, but where we can, we want to go back to some of our legacy titles and give them some much needed quality of life updates. They will vary in size and scope depending on the title. Some might be bug fixing, while others might see more robust improvements to features like game mechanics. Now, this is great because we've had Total War Attila's Dauntless Days mod coming out, and, well, Total War Attila has a lot of problems. It doesn't have UI scaling, its performance is all over the place, and it doesn't even use its resources properly. So some of that optimization that they introduced post-Attila would go a long way towards improving the Dauntless Day mod experience, which has increased the player count of Total War Attila to over or close to 10,000 concurrents. It's not there at the moment, but they will probably rise over the weekend. So that has given Creative Assembly the incentive to actually update some of their older games, because there's a lot of things they could do, like performance, various small things, UI scaling, all that kind of stuff. The game is actually working well. We'll see what they actually deliver on the subject, but the more important point of this blog is what they had to say about Warhammer 3 DLC. So with respect to Warhammer 3, they've decided that Neferata is going to be the free Legendary Lord coming alongside patch 8.0 along with the End Times update. We had originally planned for her to be the first character in our new smaller content packs, which confirms what they stated earlier this year, which we're naming character packs. But after lengthy consideration, it just makes thematic sense that she and the Vampire Counts update arrive alongside the Great Necromancer. So to me that reads they're putting their eggs in one basket to make it bigger. So all of the undead updates are going to come alongside the Lords of the End Times. It's going to feature Tomb Kings, it's going to feature Vampire Counts, and don't forget, Luther Harkon did have a prominent role in the Nagash trailer. Of course, the question is, how will people access it if they don't own Warhammer 3? Because what Creative Assembly stated very clearly is that you will just be able to straight up buy the Lords of the End Time. So what is that going to give you access to? They've also talked about updating Archaon, though I suppose that's going to require you to own the Warriors of Chaos DLC, because Archaon is part of that. And I think that's Creative Assembly trying to create incentives for people to buy those older DLCs by updating characters that are part of those. That may be the reason they updated Skarsnik with Omens of Destruction, why they updated Trong and Wulfric, Skrag and Greasus, so on and so forth. But anyway, who's going to replace Neferata? Well, it's going to be a character in Grand Cathay, with a thematic twist, with a fearsome DLC that will come roaring in to claw back that space left by Neferata, plus an assortment of lore-inspired content. What's also different is that it's smaller than our normal single pack. We're trying to get more content out that doesn't necessarily have a place to build a giant faction around. The pricing will match the value of the content in it, and we do think the value of the content is there, so there's a reason for us to do it. Expect it to be less than our normal pack price at £750, $9. You'll hear more about it from team in early 2026. So when would I expect this? Probably in spring of 2026. I would have expected Neferata had they decided not to include her in the Lords of the End Time. So instead, we're gonna get a Cathay DLC. But who is it going to be? That's the question. So with respect to Grand Cathay, there's two major options I would expect for a DLC Legendary Lord. Though the one I think they're going to go with, based on the Clara mark in their blog, is going to be the Monkey King. Now, the Monkey King has been referred to in the past on various forums and discussion boards as kind of like a Beastman Cathay campaign, if they were ever going to do it. Unclear on that. Where would they put him? Well, lore-wise, the Monkey King and the Fire Dragon are kind of in this campaign area, the one that's locked here. So it wouldn't be Ind or Koresh expanded, but they would add this mountain area as a playable region of the game. Or they could expand this area even further, right here, to the south of the Cathayan hinterland, so that the Kala actually has some rival. Nakai is not capable of being that rival. That would be an interesting choice by Creative Assembly. And yes, there would be both the Monkey King and the Fire Dragon, or maybe they do a combined campaign with both of them being the same faction. Like, and you have to balance it out between them, because it's kind of that story between the Fire Dragon and the Monkey King. But they could also just make the Fire Dragon a free Legendary Lord and the Monkey King the paid one, give people Cathayan content for free, and also give a unique campaign as a paid DLC one, while also reworking Cathay, because yes, Cathay does need a rework. They got a bit of an update which has a change, but it's certainly not good enough. So what do they need to do in order for Cathay to work? Like I've talked about map positioning, how many provinces, maybe 2, maybe 3 at most, but I would say 1 or 2 new provinces that they would put the Monkey King and Fire Dragon. They could also do Yin Yin. But what about Cathay? Well, here's some of the things they should do with Cathay. The caravan system just is flat out not worth it after a certain point in your campaign. So if they're gonna make longer campaigns work better, then they need to introduce a better caravan system. And no, cast dwarves are not enough. It needs to be more than what the cast dwarves do have. Beyond that, you have your usual stuff, unit tiers, buildings, etc. Like Cathay's building handling, especially because of the harmony system, just leaves a lot to be desired. I personally would just take out harmony from any building whatsoever and introduce a meter at the top where you have a kind of harmony meter that you build on based on, you know, who you're fighting or what kind of angle you're going down. Similar to Kislev, though, again, better than Kislev. Kislev is a great idea, it's just the execution of it that could be further improved in a Cathayan campaign. Something else I would say is that Cathay should get a limited system, at least a limited system, of the Warband upgrade system. Because Jade Warriors especially could use it. Like, for instance, you could just start recruiting Jade Warriors and then upgrade them to Halberdiers if you want to later on, similar to Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, and then to Shield version, because right now, the way you play a campaign, you just recruit Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, because the ones with shields are tier 3. It's not the cost, it's just like, why would I disband the experienced units I already have? And that's kind of similar with other things like Celestial Dragon Guard. It would also be a great way to incentivize Cathayan players to actually use Cavalry, because the Warband upgrade mod allows you to turn Jade Warriors into Jade Lancers, eventually into Great Longma Riders. Not sure how that would work with Peasants, but at least for Jade Warriors, I think it would be a great idea. And then, of course, hero recruitment tiers and capacity. Okay, so Cathayan hero capacity for Alchemists and Game Masters is at tier 3, but they should both be tier 2 heroes that you recruit. Maybe move some things around. Also, allow Astromancers to be recruited at tier 2 and increase capacity at tier 3. And change Alchemists. Like, add a new Cathayan hero that gives you campaign movement range, like the Alchemists do already. And instead, have the Alchemists give you casualty replenishment. That would matter a lot. Because one of the big problems for Cathay at the moment is their lack of casualty replenishment. I mean, Cathay has a good army. but that lack of casualty replenishment does hurt them. Then, of course, we've got the Great Bastion, we've got climate situation, one of the big issues of Cathay campaigns. It can be fun short-term, but then once you deal with all of Cathay, you've got nothing more to it. I think, like, the entire Great Bastion should just be in its own province, so you get more growth in it, you can upgrade it. I don't know, really. Maybe make it a full-on passive faction with full armies, but then that would screw over Village, Zaytan, and Sale. Okay, who cares? Anyway, that aside, those are some of the key issues, and then there's the further ones. The whooshing compass for everyone, including Yambo, is a useless gimmick. The only thing you really want to use with the whooshing compass is casualty replenishment for much of your campaign, and then if casualty replenishment wasn't a thing because we got a hero, then you would just use Celestial Lake. Unless you're a Yanbo, in which case the only thing you'd ever go for is Nuanchang Basin, but when you unlocked it, and you can't unlock it. It's really a question of pacing. Cathay has a lot of really cool stuff, but we never use it given the pacing of the campaign. And yes, I know the end-time cataclysmic events will help with that, but I'm gonna say this up front, Creative Assembly, it's not going to be enough. Simple as that. It's not gonna work on its own. You need to change the pacing of races in order for things to make sense. And then, of course, the final thing they should work on is the research tree. The Cathayan research tree is a damn mess. There's a lot of bloat over here, and a lot of these things don't really matter. Let me tell you what you do in the research tree. You can either try and rush all the way to the Dragon Emperor's Blessing, but that's 74 turns. That's a waste of bloody time. What instead you should do is just get Fletching Mentors, Dragon Scales, Drill Trailing, Jade Stance, and then the Right of Yang, and the Grace of Kuai Yin. That gives you a lot of power to Jade Warriors, which we're going to be spamming early on in the campaign, and then also 10% upkeep for both types of Yin and Yang units. Everything else is pure fluff, and it shouldn't be pure fluff. The research tree needs a complete overhaul, which is kind of funny since they've already done several improvements to it, but it's been minor stuff. So that would be my perspective on Cathay. Pretty simple. Add a casualty replenishment hero or change alchemist to give you casualty replenishment. And add a new hero gives you campaign movement range, change the tiers of stuff, the buildings, a new harmony system, new bastion system. I know it sounds like a lot, but believe it or not, it's a lot easier to do than you might think. If you want to know what Creative Assembly actually spends a lot of their fucking budgets on, it's designing new units. They've said this in the past themselves, that's why I'm stating it. Maybe they should spend 10% more time actually rebalancing races and improving the campaign pacing. But that's just my perspective. Kosin here signing out. Stay tuned for more. I guess we'll find out what kind of Legendary Lord we're gonna get in Cathay. I mean, could be something completely unrelated to Cathay. Who knows? Maybe we'd get Moonclaw. Or maybe we would get some Lizardmen. Who knows? Either of those could be options. Like the leaks did mention Moonclaw. Who are the other two Legendary Lords they do in the Lords of the End Times if Neferata is going to be free? So we're going to have Nagash, Tanquil, paid ones for certain. Neferata is going to be free, so that leaves two more. One of them is going to be Volatin, so who's the fourth? Now, that's the big question, isn't it? Is it Glotkin? Is it Yin Yin? Could be. Is it something else? Something we don't expect? I'm not quite sure who it could be. I mean, beyond the obvious ones like Glotkin, Yin Yin. But there are certainly plenty of possibilities on that. Kosin signing.